Ah, crap, I turned myself into a mummy. I guess now I have to do a movie review. Okay, no. I'm sorry. This isn't really a Junkyard review, nor is it part of the Monster Mash storyline. I just saw this movie in a video store, thought it fit the theme, thought I'd talk about it. Monster Brawl. And talking about it is the most I'd be willing to do, really. The story's not complex enough for a recap. A guy organizes a monster freestyle fighting tournament. They fight. That's about it. Okay, to be fair, we do get a little backstory for each monster in the tournament, each presented in their own unique way. We have Witch Bitch, probably the laziest monster in the movie, as she's basically just a woman painted with pentagrams and crap, who uses no apparent magic throughout. And I get the impression that the filmmakers thought the name Witch Bitch was more clever than it was. She fights a Cyclops, an immortal Greek warrior armed with a hammer and eye beams. I'll spoil this fight for you. Witch Bitch loses. Anyway, he's given a rather dramatic persona and backstory with lots of destiny and such. I'll explain how this was a setup for disappointment later. Next we have Lady Vampire versus the Mummy, pretty self-explanatory. Their fight has some clever moves and ideas, interesting thoughts on exploiting monster weaknesses. And it should be noted that while there are a couple of eye-candy-ish women in the movie, neither of the two female monsters are sexy, despite witches and vampires both typically being fodder for sexualization. Witch Bitch is a haggard mess, and Lady Vampire has that Buffy vampire face thing going on. So kudos for that. Then we got Werewolf versus Swamp Gut. Werewolf is distinct in that he's fairly new to being a werewolf, and the experience that led him to become one has left him with a hate-on for all things monster. Swamp Gut, whose intro was done in the style of a nature documentary, is a sort of mix of Creature from the Black Lagoon and Swamp Thing with toxic attacks. Last we get Frankenstein versus Zombie Man. Both of these two have masters, a mad scientist and army general, respectively. Zombie Man brings us a short zombie outbreak segment, and Frankenstein's arrival brings us my favorite line in the movie.
And Buzz, technically, it's Frankenstein's monster, if you want to be a dick about it.
Speaking of which, the fights have these two announcers, Buzz and Sid, commenting. I was expecting to hate them. Not so much. They added a bit of humor without overdoing it. We also have this guy, who is here pretty much solely to introduce the fighters and overreact. Rounding out the cast is Lance Henriksen's bored voiceover as the narrator and Mortal Kombat announcer. His job is mainly to pipe up now and then with gems like this.
Cyclops wins. Mythical laser blast.
But here we come to my main issue with the whole movie. This isn't a proper tournament as far as I understand. I mean, it's supposed to go like this, right? But instead it went like this. There were 4 fights, but only the winners of the latter 2 went on to fight each other. I'm a complete novice to this sort of thing, and they did mention something about middle and heavyweight fighters, but A, considering they had the Cyclops as a middleweight and a freaking zombie as a heavyweight, it all seems pretty arbitrary, and B, why even do this? The winners of the first 2 fights, including the Cyclops whose intro made me think he was going to be important later, just wander off. What a waste! This was frustrating. I was actually getting into it, and suddenly I realized that they're ending the movie 2 fights early. So if you can get past that, this was pretty decent for what it was. The fights were pretty fun, mixing real fighting moves with monster gimmicks. The last fight goes on too long by half, as does the zombie outbreak segment. Nevertheless, I would recommend this for some mindless fun if it wasn't for the whole not a complete tournament thing. Well, this has been a mini review. Thanks for watching and have a good day.